Who got a watch? Who got the time? I'm raising the clock. Even in my feelings, grind don't stop. Got big dreams, one big one.
As always, this video is alleged and it is, in my opinion, it is for entertainment purposes only. Welcome to my channel. I'm reviewing episode 12, season 6 of Love Marriage Huntsville. So this episode starts back where we left off on the last episode. We still in Stormy's front yard. Prior to this season starting, we saw Stormy posted a lot about telling her story and how she couldn't wait for us to see, her story and her journey. But I'm not sure what she's talking about. The season is almost over, and all we've seen from Stormy thus far has been fake scenes and very little about her business. So very little about what's really happening with her business. We've seen nothing about the lawsuits. We've seen nothing about her being on back order. How she plans to correct the Better Business Bureau rating of F. So I'm not really sure what Stormy's kind of purpose is on the show. To me, it just feels like they plopped her in here and nothing that she's doing thus far is really giving. So that's it for the Stormy scene. The next scene is Martel going to counseling. So Martel is going to see the same counselor that Melody saw before in previous seasons. I really don't understand why he tends to always use the same services Melody does, or I'm not sure why he still feels the need to have that type of connection. It would have been perfectly normal for him to see a different counselor, someone separate from Melody and who Melody was having sessions with. I'm not sure why they did that way. I'm not sure even that this counselor is kind of equipped to work with Martel on what he needs. I think Martel needs to reassess relationships, yes, but Martel has a lot to deal with himself. Relationships right now, I think there's some things that he should be dealing with that are more critical than his relationship with, other people right now. He needs to start working on himself, because how can you deal with issues in other relationships when you have not dealt with yourself? So that was just my opinion on that. Again, it was boring to me, not really giving. I didn't find anything impressive about this episode. He's complaining that his mother's not wanting to watch his children, but his mother is older, and she's expressed before that she does not want to always watch his children. This is something that Martel should have thought about prior to destroying his family, but he didn't. So again, he's expecting somebody to do his job for him, but it is what it is. So the next scene, Kim and Maurice go to Wine and Design. They're having a nice little date night out. Personally, I love to Wine and Design. They're having a nice little date night out. Personally, I love paint and sips and wine and designs. These are really fun things to do. If you've ever experienced it, it's a really great time. If you haven't, you should go. But they're having a date night. So again, it starts out with them doing another date night. A date night. They never really talk about business. Kimmy and Maurice never get into business. Everything with them is just kind of surface level. They never really delve into what they do, their specific businesses. We never see that with them, and it's kind of annoying. We're always watching them go on dates or just go to meetings. As soon as this date begins, Maurice makes the comment that Kimmy will be the one doing dishes. The sexism kicks in immediately. He's talking about that cleaning and everything is Kimmy's role. That's what she does. Kimmy is then bringing up Monster, talking about how Monster doesn't do dishes, and it's it's clear to me that Monster does not see his father be examples as to what his father is asking him to be. His father has this idea of that he wants to raise this amazing son who cleans his room, who does dishes, who does his own laundry, but Maurice don't clean his own room. He don't do his own laundry. He don't do his own dishes. So it's just him having an expectation for his son to do things that he is not a living example of. So Tisha and Marcel come, and basically they have their date night together, have a little bit of discussion, and again, boom, that's the scene. We're just seeing them go out, talk, have a date, and that's their storyline. That's it. It's nothing more than date night and talking about Monster. The next scene is Martel bringing his brother, Montez Holt, over, and he's having lunch with his brother, and he's talking to his brother, just catching up on what they've done. Martel is introducing his brother to the show, I guess to demonstrate that he's working with his brother to make him a better man. His brother apparently has spent some time in jail. He's been in trouble with the police. I'm not sure why Carlos King and the producers feel like this season it was important to introduce this type of things into the show. Like you have Stormy, her cousin. They talked about their records last week. Now you have Martel bringing up his brother, who clearly has a criminal past. There's going to be research done on that because people no longer trust that production tells them the truth about who we're seeing on the show. So people are going to delve into this man's past. Why Martel would introduce his brother into the show knowing that people are going to look into who he is, that's weird to me. It's already been things that have come up about this young man. If I was him, I would have just stayed off of the show. Again, this is not in alignment with what this show is supposed to be about, which is Black business, Black couples, Black excellence. Not sure where they're going with this. Martel also talks about his brother getting a job, and this is his first real job he's had in a long time. Martel, what's your job? The scene pretty much ends with him talking about marriage and how marriage is good and it's healthy and it helps you get grounded. Essentially, Martel just wants to be married so somebody can help him take care of his kids and help him. I don't see Martel getting married for any other reason that he feels he needs help and he needs to be satisfied and he wants someone to take care of him. The scene ends with him talking about the Black Expo that's supposed to be coming up, and him also telling his brother to come to the expo and to wear a nice suit, which I thought was pretty laughable. The next scene is Kimmy and Maurice in their house, and they're having a meeting with Monster's mom, Kiowa, to get everybody, as Maurice says, on the same page. The first thing I found interesting was the seating. I'm not sure why Kimmy's sitting on the couch next to Monster and the mother's in the chair across from Monster. I just feel like if this boy is struggling and going through stuff, he needs to be with his mother. It's always a situation where they have them separated, and I don't really understand that. But again, this entire scene is just about Maurice trying to pretend that he's being this excellent father to Monster. And both Kiowa and Kimmy are saying all you do is talk at him. You do not show him anything by example, and you don't spend time with him. Personally, I think the fact that they are using this young man for their storyline this whole season it's just so repulsive to me. This is a young man. It's nothing wrong with Monster. Monster's behavior is absolutely positively normal if you have teenage boys. Most teenage boys don't want to clean their room. Most teenage boys don't want to do their laundry. That is normal for a teenage boy. The fact that they're putting this out there and writing this like it's something really wrong with him, I think that's wrong. I think Maurice and Kimmy need their own storyline. I think Maurice needs to tell people who he is in business, what he does, how he makes his money, and that's what the show is supposed to be about. It's just another scene where they're sitting around talking, bringing in other people to use them as a storyline. There's nothing wrong with Monster. The problem in this situation is Maurice. He's not the best husband, and he's not the best father. He does not spend time with his child. They said literally in this scene that Monster, spends most of his time in Huntsville in his room. That is wrong. He needs to go back home and be with his mother. Kiowa, go get your baby. The next scene is essentially Stormy and her husband Courtney riding around in Huntsville in the rain, talking in the car. They're talking about the same fight we just saw with Stormy's mother Betty and her aunt Lisa. And this scene gives absolutely nothing. It is just a waste of airtime. So that's all I'm giving that. The last thing, they come back to Kimmy and Maurice wrapping up the meeting. Kiowa and Monster go to dinner. Essentially, Maurice is yet again trying to bring Kimmy in and say, Kimmy suggests that they go to family counseling, Kiowa, Monster, and Maurice. He says we, including Kimmy, because essentially he wants Kimmy to raise Monster. Kimmy's not Monster's mother. Monster needs to be raised by Kiowa. And so Kiowa and Monster then go to dinner, and Kiowa's asking Monster, do you want me to come around more? And he says yes, he's like to have her there more, which is a no-brainer, duh. And so he smiles, she smiles, that's about it. So the scene ends with Maurice saying that he wants Kimmy and Kiowa to meet and discuss their past issues, which has nothing to do with what's going on with Monster. What's happening with Monster and what's wrong with Monster is Maurice. So overall, this episode is probably one of the worst I've ever seen. It did not include the star of the show, which is Melody Cherie. I'm not interested in supporting a Love and Marriage Huntsville that does not show Melody. This episode was a 1 for me. It gives nothing. And if this is what Carlos King wants to do with this show, fine. I won't support it if it does not show Melody Cherie. They phased out her mother, Mrs. Van, and now they're phasing out Melody. And, he can do that, but won't get my support. So that's about it for this Season 6, Episode 12 review. Please send your comment below, subscribe, and like the video. And then I'll see you next week with the review of Episode 13.
I've had enough of your garbage.